It's time to fasten your seatbelt and rev up that engine. It's time to go on Pit Row. On Pit Row is your weekly look inside the world of NASCAR. Now live, here's the pit crew, Steve Rockowitz and Charlie Turner.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go on Pit Row, boys.
Oh my God, Michael Waltrip is everywhere.
Came just for you. Just for you there, Charlie Turner.
Happy Halloween, NASCAR fans. This is our annual, God, we've been doing this for a long time, Halloween show. And Beth Ann's the one that always gets this thing going with all these masks and everything, and she's not here. So I'm Charlie Turner. I'm Batman Charlie Turner. That's Steve, Michael Waltrip, Ronkowitz, and Dan Beaver.
And Beaver.
Texas, Dan Beaver in Texas. And we'll be joined by Beth Ann. Who knows what the hell she's going to be dressed up as. So anyway. Appropriate that you used the Michael Waltrip mask, Steve, today, because did he make it last night?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he is safe again. But we're getting close to the point where NASCAR fans, as much as they like to vote, it's time for them to start voting for Mikey to go away.
You think? Is it that bad?
It's starting to get pretty embarrassing, actually. So, but hey, that's the way it goes. As a matter of fact, all 4 judges last night kind of told him that he sucked. But you know, he took it like the true Michael Waltrip that he is, and paid no attention.
Well, that's kind of what he does, right? Regardless of what what anybody thinks, he's Michael Waltrip. So anyway, that's good. By the way, I'm playing Ben Affleck as Batman. That hence the gray stuff. But so we had a race at Martinsville this past week. It wasn't on Halloween, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. went as the winner. Any surprises there? I mean, it's always good, I think, for NASCAR when Junior wins a race, because at least 80% of the fandom is happy, right? I mean, it seems like that. He's got to be at least that popular, I believe.
Well, it was pretty popular that he won the race. The only thing is, I can't believe that NASCAR screwed up. They were actually able to get Bubba Wallace in the number 34 car Wendell Scott Tribute truck to be able to win on Friday or Saturday or whatever it was. But they couldn't get David Reagan to win in the number 34 Wendell Scott Tribute car. So they tried, but they got messed up at the end there by having Junior win.
But at least David Reagan finished 10th, top 10 in that Wendell Scott Tribute car, which is that's a pretty righteous finish for that team in that car.
You know, that's one of the wackiest races. You know, Dan hates the fact that Talladega is who knows what it was, but that race at Martinsville was almost as much of a pick-em kind of race towards the end as I saw at Talladega.
No, I would agree. I think we expected Earnhardt to finish in the top 10. Didn't expect him to contend for the victory. In the middle, when it was Hamlin and Gordon fighting each other, that seemed normal. And Gordon being up the front seemed normal. But yeah, a lot of that top 10, that was there was a lot of heart in that top 10. Tony Stewart's top 5, I think, fits there. Joey Logano isn't particularly strong at Martinsville, or hasn't been, but you can kind of throw his records out. So he was a little bit of a surprise. And David Reagan, I think that was a good finish on an unrestricted speedway for that team. So, and then all the fireworks we got: Kenseth, Harvick, Keselowski, and Pickham, Truex, Patrick.
Pickham.
It was a fun race.
Well, I think they're always fun. Dan and I were talking right before the show started about NASCAR has to figure out some way to get more short tracks into this Cup Series schedule. I mean, these things are just. You suppose there's anybody out there that didn't enjoy that race? I just can't imagine a racing fan not enjoying that thing.
Well, I don't know that Miller Lite really enjoyed it a whole hell of a lot.
They have a bit of an agenda there, though.
That they do. But no, I mean, it was about as entertaining as the race could be. And, you know, you've talked about it, Charlie, how many times that Martinsville is probably your favorite racetrack. I can't see any reason why it wouldn't be most people's favorite racetrack.
We're joined by
Budweiser
Catwoman
probably
with
wasn't too terribly
Cat
happy
Splander.
either, so we're weak.
Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry. Oh, we may have. Dan has a bit of an iffy connection there, so we're going back to Beth. Hey, Beth Ann, or is that Beth Ann? Oh no! Don't tell me she's having an iffy connection too. Steve, this show may come down to just you and I doing this thing. You and Michael.
Nothing is better than having a camera in my face. I love having a camera in my face because you know what? Anytime I can have a camera in my face, I'll just dominate the conversation.
Well, by the way, this is a little bit early to be bringing this up, but I did put a Fast Lap question out on the Facebook page this week to spur comments for our Shell Saver Card $50 gift card giveaway every week. And the question was, what is your favorite NASCAR driver dressing as for Halloween? And my initial thought was Michael Waltrip's in a man suit, but I don't know. What do you guys think? What's your favorite driver going as? There's Danny's back. I think.
I need to find out who Beth Ann is. Of course, you know how bad I am at these things, so
All right,
I
Beth,
need prompting.
you got to disclose your secret identity.
It's Batgirl.
Batgirl?
Yes.
You're not Catwoman?
I don't
Wow.
have the ears.
She's flipped over to the other side, so to speak.
So Batgirl's got a cat.
Well, I could be Catwoman. Where'd the cat go?
It was
I don't
right
have the
behind
ears
you at
for
the
it,
beginning of
though.
the broadcast. I'm re-inviting Dan to this thing, by the way.
I'm back.
Dan's
there
kind
you
Am
of
I
there.
back?
So
Okay.
we have a bat, a cat, and a beaver, and then whatever Mikey is.
And I won't say that.
You know, my connection has been so bad that I haven't really seen you guys during the first part of this until I came back, and I have to say that I was happy that Steve was not wearing the knee top for Michael Waltrip.
I wore the pink shirt too to go with it. I don't know if you can tell that on the video, but
Are you wearing his leotards too? I mean, since you should be able to get up and dance a little bit for us. I can't believe that he's actually gotten through this thing. I cannot make myself watch that show. I tried. I just can't do it.
well, as I said, there's 4 judges that can't believe he's made it this far either. But it's the power of the voting NASCAR public that has gotten him this far. And like I said earlier, it's time for them to say enough is enough and get him the hell out there before he embarrasses himself anymore.
Well, who's your favorite driver going as for Halloween this week? What's Jeff Gordon wearing, Steve?
Speaking of tutus, I would think probably some sort of a tutu with I don't know. Let's see. How would that work out? A tutu and probably a gray wig.
In a bad mustache.
And a bad. Yeah, well, that goes without saying.
Hey, Dan, Dan, do you have a favorite driver? Who would your favorite driver be going as for Halloween? I mean, this mask is killing me. Oh, maybe lost Dan there for a little bit. Beth Ann, who's your favorite driver going as? Who's Casey Kane going as this week?
Actually,
He's going as a NASCAR driver.
yeah, that's right. What would Casey Kane dress as?
I don't know. We're asking you.
I think he'd love to have that Batgirl costume.
We need to be careful here. By the way, Dan had some news, some late-breaking news. Dan, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I think I'm back for a moment.
You had some late-breaking Jeff Gordon news that you were going to share with the show today. Do you want to bring it out now when we can maybe keep a straight face?
I haven't read the story yet, but I saw it looks like his driver's ed teacher was killed in a car crash. Something being reported on ESPN. So, kind of sad and ironic at the same time.
Yeah, that's Jeff Gordon's driver's ed teacher, guys, in case you didn't hear the first part of that.
Not Jeff Gordon. Yeah.
I guess that says
Well,
a lot.
our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the unfortunate driver's ed teacher. But there is some irony involved there, sort of. Can't not mention those stories if you're in the 21st century media. So anyway, we get a win in a chase race by a non-chase driver for the first time in 2014. It's going to change the way this thing goes going forward. You've got a race at Texas Motor Speedway and one at Phoenix coming up. 4 drivers will be eliminated after those 2 races, and now only 2 of the drivers that get the pass-through can get it by winning races. So with somebody like who finished poorly, that Keselowski is probably in the bucket right now and may need to win a race, and he only has 2 possibilities.
Well, he did it one time. The question becomes whether or not he's going to be able to do it for a second straight time in this chase. And I would have to say, if somebody's going to be able to do that, that would pretty much make them a champion, whether they're a champion or not.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And Kevin Harvick is now in that same boat. So what we saw at Kansas with Keselowski, Johnson, and Earnhardt all having a bad finish there, and knowing that at least one of the strongest drivers wasn't going to make it through the next round, we got the exact same scenario. It's hard to believe that Keselowski and Harvick are going to win the next 2 races and punch their ticket to the next round. So one of the 4 strongest probably will make it to the championship. But that's, you get that in all sorts of playoffs. You get some sort of, you get one driver or one team that is the Cinderella story. It's just a matter of who it's going to be. I just hope it's not a winless driver. I hope that either Newman or Kenseth wins and takes that off the table, or they don't advance. So I think it'd be a shame to see someone win the championship without winning a race.
Well, it certainly could happen, though, because Ryan Newman's been about as consistent as anybody's been in this chase since this thing started. He can't win a race, apparently, but he's been good enough to get there, I think. And once you get to Homestead, who knows what happens there.
And how ironic would it be the guy that the chase was invented for would be the guy who would win a chase championship without winning a race in Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right. Okay, any other big stories coming out of this other than we have Kevin Harvick threatening to get even with Matt Kenseth after the race. That could come into play in one of the next 2 races if Harvick really does do something. I would think that's more likely to happen if Harvick has a bad run and he decides to take Kenseth out. Are you looking for that to happen? Did Matt Kenseth all of a sudden grow a pair and just like running everybody off the track and beating people up after the races?
No, Matt Kenseth just became a baseball player and likes baseball fights. Where not much happens. He's a lot of talk, but
hold me back.
It's just one of those things that I don't see Kenseth changing a whole heck of a lot. But it's almost like he's trying to manufacture some excitement from his camp, and maybe that's a way to do it. I don't know, but interesting that it's him, I suppose.
Yeah, there hasn't been much excitement out of that camp all year. Before we get too much farther, I did mention that I put a question out there on our Facebook page, Facebook, on Pit Row Facebook page. What is your favorite NASCAR driver dressing as for Halloween? You can leave a comment about that or anything else that we're talking about on our Facebook page or YouTube page or the On Pit Row Bench Racing blog, any of those places. Leave us a great comment and you could win this big prize. Michael?
Submit your Shell Saver card. Comment of the day, you can take home that $50 Shell gift card. Anytime Joey Logano, also driver of that 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford Fusion, wins a 2014 points race. Shell Saver card holders save 22 cents per gallon on any grade of Shell nitrogen-rich gasoline or Shell diesel just by using their Shell Saver card. The Wednesday after the race, offer valid up to 25 gallons. Go to shell.us/Wednesday if you need more details. If you haven't figured it out by now, you probably ain't gonna.
All right, there you go. Beth Ann, you never told me. What's Casey wearing for Halloween?
He-Man.
Keyman?
Yes.
He-Man.
He's going as
Oh.
He-Man.
He-Man. Okay. Well, at least it wasn't Elvira. Or no, what's the chick's name? Elvira.
She-Ra?
Yeah, Sheena. Okay, whatever.
She-Ra.
Let's move on.
Back for a minute.
Dan's back. Okay, Dan. We feel bad for Dan because he's got a internet connection problem down in Texas today, and we have all experienced that, so we know what's going on. So thanks for hanging in there, Dan. Any other stories coming out of Martinsville other than the potential brawl that we could have with Harvick and Kenseth? Anything else you saw there that you think carries over to the next week?
Yeah, Harvick's going to have a hard time making good on that promise this year, though, because he can't afford to screw around too much at Texas. It's a race that he could win, since he won recently at Charlotte on another similarly configured mile-and-a-half track. He certainly can't screw around at Phoenix because he dominated there. So he's going to have to wait until Homestead and see if Kenseth actually gets in before he can do anything one way or the other about this. So everybody kind of knows he's blown off steam by saying it, but he'd have a hard time carrying through with the threat. So we won't see anything until probably next year at Martinsville.
All right. Well, I think we're about the point in the show where we should start talking about Texas and fantasy. Well, we have Dan with a good connection. Let's talk fantasy racing at Texas Motor Speedway for the AAA 500. I got it wrong in the last show, but it is 500-mile race at the Red Hot Fast Texas mile-and-a-half track.
Yeah, and someone surely hoped that it was 400 miles. Just a matter of knowing who that is. Probably Kyle Busch. He tends to do well at the first part of races, and then when he implodes, it's kind of late. And I'll run through this kind of quick and then go back and fill in just in case I get dropped out again. We said earlier, there's a lot of good things about living in a small town in Texas. Internet connectivity, not one of those things. So in Group A, I think you've got a good choice this week that you haven't had a chance to use a lot, and that is Kyle Busch. He tends to perform well in pressure situation or when pressure's off of his shoulders. And now that he's out of the chase, I think this is one of those races where he should produce again. He swept the top 10 before Talladega. Shouldn't have run all that well at Martinsville, and he really didn't. He finished 11th. But on the 1.5-mile tracks, the unrestricted intermediate speedways, he should be back up to speed. So I've got Busch ranked to number 1 right at the moment in Group A. Down in Group B, Carl Edwards has been consistent on the mile-and-a-half tracks this year. Hasn't necessarily contended for the victory, and he won't again this week. But he should be good for a top 10 finish. Denny Hamlin does well at Texas. Not nearly as well as Martinsville or Phoenix. Should also be able to contend for a top 10. Greg Biffle, Jamie McMurray. There aren't going to be a whole lot of surprises here, but the drivers that have been kind of following behind Keselowski and Logano up until now, this is a good week to just use whichever of those guys you've got the most allocations for. It is not necessarily a good week to start Keselowski. So if you've only got 1 or 2 allocations remaining for him, save them. Give him this week off. Let's see if he can get his composure back. In the contender round, after he finished badly at Kansas, he imploded at Charlotte. So the same thing could happen at Texas. And you don't want to be caught with your pants down if that happens. Down in Group C, we've got Trevor Bayne in the Wood Brothers car this week. He started off his career here extremely consistent with 3 consecutive 17th place finishes. He's been much more hit or miss since, but he's had a couple of top 20s in the last 3 or 4 races at Texas. So I think he counts as an acceptable dark horse. Danica Patrick's been running well on similarly configured mile-and-a-half tracks. She could close the gap a little bit on Larson and Dillon, who, of course, are going to be the top 2 drivers. Justin Allgaier even could fit if you needed someone like him, because Allgaier's had some low 20s finishes, and I think he had a finish in the teens at Charlotte. So he's got an opportunity there if you really need a wild card dark horse Allgaier could be your man. So that's a quick run through. Sorry it's rushed. I'll give you the phone number for Hill Country Telephone Company, and everybody can call them.
Well, yeah, we have a little bit of time if somebody has a specific question about those picks, and we'll get more in depth on our fantasy on Dan Beaver's fantasy pit stop later in the week too. So we have to make our picks for this week. I'm already locked because Dan's going to hold me to my shooting my mouth off last week about Jimmy Johnson running the last 4 races in the table as vengeance for getting kicked out of the chase. Johnson didn't win last week, but I've got him this week because I have no choice. What do you like, Mikey?
Well, if I was running, I would pick myself. Or if my brother was running DW, if he was running, I'd pick him. But since I don't have any of those guys to pick, I'm probably going to pick somebody that I got a vested interest in. Somebody who's like driving the something like how about the energy drink thing guy like my boy Clint. That's
Clint Boyer. Yeah,
Clint Boyer.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking.
If Clint Boyer wins, will you be in winner circle with him? Of course you will. Never mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be there. Even if he doesn't win, I'll be in winner circle.
Can do a Texas 2-step with him down there. All right, Beth Ann, who do you got? Who you got
Joey
for Texas?
Logano.
Joey Logano.
Joey Logano.
Front runner. All right, Joey Logano.
YOLO for the sweep.
Who you got, Dan?
I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. I think he stays out of trouble this week, keeps it off the wall, and wins.
You never pick Kyle Busch, ever.
You're right. But I figure if anybody's going to get jinxed, he's as good a guy as anybody else. And my pick last, for the record, Jimmy Johnson. If you don't think the Beeve jinx is a real palpable thing, I just keep offering up examples.
Yeah, well, I have my own jinx going, thank you. Everybody knows it. But I kind of like my pick of Jimmy Johnson down here. I think he could win this race, and I think he could win the next 3. So we'll see. Maybe if I win 3 out of 4, I think I at least get a pat on the back. I don't get a yay high five.
You win 1 out of 4, you'll get a pat on the back.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be pretty good for this group, wouldn't it? All right. Any final thoughts on NASCAR for this week? We only have 3 weeks to go in the 2014 season. Hard to believe that it's already over.
Yeah, who would have thought 38 weeks would go so fast?
Does the end of the Dancing with the Stars show coincide with the end of the chase?
I would say yeah, pretty close, pretty darn close.
I can't. I may actually have to watch next week. I'm sorry to say, but
well, it's going to come down to 2 people, either Tommy Chong or Mikey Waltrip. One of those 2 guys are going to get dinged.
Are they the only 2 that are in it?
No, those are the bottom feeders that are left in it.
Okay.
And Tommy Chong's 76 years old, for God's sake. So what's that tell you?
Yeah, but he doesn't care.
No. He doesn't remember what he's doing after he's done.
He has a fairly large cadre of people that might vote for him, too.
That's true.
Someone is telling me one at the end of the thing, and he'll believe them.
That's right.
There you go.
Most of his fan base is centered in Colorado and Washington, however.
That's true. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us again for this week's crazy edition of this what is it, like 13th annual Halloween show on Pit Row. It's been fun. Beth Ann, thanks for putting it together and forcing us all to do this. It's always fun whether we want to do it or not. Michael Waltrip, thanks for joining us. This is the only show you've not been on that's related to NASCAR.
That is true.
So you finally run the table. Dan, thanks for hanging with us with the connection problems down in Texas. Follow all those folks. Beth Ann on Twitter at MyMetroToledo, Dan at Fantasy Race, Steve at Bench Racing, me and on Pit Row. And join us again next week when we do this all again and talk about what happened at Texas and what might happen at Phoenix.
You've just been on Pit Row, and now you're up to speed with the best information about the world of NASCAR. Come back next week and join the pit crew, Steve and Charlie, and go on Pit Row. On Pit Row is a presentation of Bench Racing Productions.
I'm Tony Stewart. You're listening to the fastest 2 hours in radio with Charlie and Steve. You're on Pit Row. Take it from me, don't speed.
This is On Pit Row. On Pit Row.